耶，我们要去那个Gunkan-jima。
错。
我们要去
Gunkan-jima。
哦，Gunkan-jima Cruise。
我们一起
transferred to the storage facility by the conveyor belt. And there is a whitish 7-floor building in front of you. That was Hashima Elementary and Junior High School. The first 4 floors were used for elementary school, and the 5th and the 7th floors for junior high. And on the 6th floor, there were a library, a music classroom, and a hall shared by the both. There are about 1,000 children in this island at its peak around 1962. And there's a blackish 9-floor building next to the school building. It's a little taller than the school building. It's the largest apartment building in this island, called Apartment Building number 65. It was built in 1945, just before the end of World War II. It has 317 housing units, so more than 1,000 people lived there. And surprisingly, there was a kindergarten on the rooftop of this building. There was no space to build a kindergarten in this island. And there's a 4th-floor apartment building on top of the rock. That was apartment building number 3. This apartment building was for the senior management staff of this coal mine company. Baths and restrooms were not installed in common homes in this island, but this apartment building had a bath and a restroom in each home. It's very gorgeous in this island. You cannot see this view from this point, but you can see this view from the boat on the way back. In the west side, there were apartment buildings built closely, and this 4th-floor building was Hashima Hospital. This hospital was well equipped because all the miners worked in the dangerous circumstances. And this whitish small building was an isolation ward of Hashima Hospital, to prevent infectious diseases in this overcrowded island. And this wreckage of a wooden building is a ruin of a Buddhist temple called Senpukuji Temple. It was an only temple in this island. And there's also a ruin of Hashima Shinto shrine called Hashima Jinja. All the miners worship the god of mine. And this area was a residential area, and this part of the area was the busiest area in this island. Almost every day, street vendors came to this island from the opposite Nagasaki Peninsula by boats to sell fresh vegetables and seafood. This is a picture of the open air market. All the necessities for their daily life were available within this island. All the shops were located within walking distance, so some people who have lived in this island say this island was just like one convenience store. and this area was the busiest area, so people of this island call this area Hashima Ginza. Do you know the Ginza Street in Tokyo? They call this area Hashima Ginza. This is a picture of Hashima Ginza around 1960. And today's Hashima Ginza, just before and after. This island used to be a seabed coal mine island with so many people in it, but nobody lives here today. So this island is the ruins of Hashima coal mine. It's a small island, as you see, measuring 480 meters from north to south and 160 meters from east to west. Originally, this island was just a reef rock and was 1/3 of today's island in size. It has been expanded 6 times by the reclamation since 1897. So you can say this island is almost a man-made island created only for coal mining. This island is surrounded by a seawall, like a fortress, to protect this island from high waves and typhoons, and has many high-rise apartment buildings in the west side. This appearance looks like a battleship, so local people call this island Gunkan-jima, or the battleship island. Coal was discovered on Hashima around 1810. Later, in 1890, Mitsubishi Corporation bought this island, and then full-scale seabed coal mining operation began. Since then, this island supported the rapid industrialization of Japan. But in the 1960s, petroleum or oil replaced coal in Japan. Then coal mines in Japan began shutting down across the country. This Hashima was no exception. They officially closed this mine in 1974. It's 45 years ago. Then all the miners and their families went away from this island in only 3 months. Then this island got uninhabited or got deserted. But this island was formally approved as a site of the World Cultural Heritage Site in July 2015, as a site of Japan's Meiji Industrial Revolution in the late 19th century and in the early 20th century. Okay, that's all about the outline. Please take a look in front of you. This brick building was a part of the general office building. This office was a central and the most important part of this coal mine company. There are once many other buildings around this office, including a large communal bath area for the miners, but most have now collapsed because of high waves and typhoons. That is the entrance to vertical mine shaft number 2. From here, miners went down about 600 meters by cage, which was like a simple elevator, at a speed of 8 meters per second. It's a frightening speed. Most elevators go down at a speed of 1 meter per second. and all the miners were transferred to a vehicle like a simple train to get to the mining site horizontally for around 2.5 kilometers. Hashima coal mine was a seabed coal mine, so the tunnels went into over 1,000 meters below sea level. Can you imagine that? I can't imagine. So all the miners worked in the harsh conditions with a temperature of 36 degrees Celsius or 97 degrees Fahrenheit, and 95% humidity. It's like a sauna. At that windowless concrete building on top of the rock, there is a water tank. At first, water for daily life was provided by making fresh water from seawater until 1935. After that, water was brought to this island by boats. The water brought by boats was stored in a water tank and distributed to the communal taps at several areas in this island. But in the 1950s, as the population increased, water got running short. So in 1957, Japan's first undersea water supply pipe was laid. It was about 6.5 kilometers long. It was the longest in the world at that time. Then each home had a water tap. A lot of seawalls or stacked stones were built to expand this small island in the late 19th century, using a kind of old type of cement called hamakawa in Japanese, which was made of red clay and lime. So these seawalls are called hamakawa seawalls. They are a part of the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site. More than 100 years old, and this building was Japan's first high-rise reinforced concrete building. Even in Tokyo, the capital of Japan as you know, its first reinforced concrete building was built 10 years later. So this building is valuable in Japan's architecture history. So you should take a lot of pictures of this building while it's standing. It is said this high-rise apartment building was built modeling on the skyscrapers in New York. High-rise apartment buildings were needed for a lot of miners and their families to live in this small island. There are about 5,300 people in this island at its peak. The population density at that time was 9 times higher than Tokyo. It was the highest ever recorded worldwide. On the west side of this island was a residential area. There are about 30 buildings built closely, And there are no elevators in those apartment buildings. So some floors of those apartment buildings have connecting corridors or bridges to the next building. So people of this island could go to any other apartment buildings without going down to the ground. It's just like a town in the air. And in this island, the west wind blows hard. So they built apartment buildings in the west side to protect the coal mine facilities in the east side. It's just like a windbreak.